shot the mic face front or something someday. I'm not in front of you, right? You can still see fine? Okay, good.
Hello, my name is Hannah Warden, and I'm going to be presenting on the history of women's rights. This is in fulfillment of my oral walk requirement and will be implemented into my walk portfolio. So to start us off, former First Lady, U.S. Senate member, and Secretary of State in September 1995 once said that human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights, once and for all. Hillary Clinton has been an iconic figure for women's rights throughout many years. People have been fighting for women's rights for a vast amount of time. So a little bit of background information: social class, status, and power was all determined by gender and race. The obligation of women was mostly to build a family in the home life, go to church, and to try to get involved in community. All power was to white American males at the time, and former historians actually went to describe the system of the middle and upper classes as the cult of domesticity. The social status of men was increased when a woman was to marry him. Women are ready to fight for what they want, and they will not stop until they get that. So the fight begins. In 1839, Mississippi grants women the right to own property. So two abolitionists and women's rights activists actually once said, by Lucretia Mott and Martha Coffin in the 1848 Seneca Falls Women's Rights Convention, that human rights were granted by God. Now, from this convention, there was a Declaration of Sentiments, which was signed by 32 men and 68 women. This convention was advertised as a convention of social, civil, and religious condition in women's rights. This was a big influence from the media that actually triggered a lot more conventions to start and to increase the power of women. So a Supreme Court case of the time was Missouri versus Celia. Celia was a 19-year-old African-American female who was enslaved at the time. She was trying to have self-defense when her former owner went and was trying to force himself upon her. In Missouri, Article 29, Section 2 states are forbidden to take any woman unlawfully against own will or by force, menace, or duress compel her to be defiled. Unfortunately, at this time, Celia was declared guilty and was sentenced to death. This only increased tensions between the women and just wanted to get more power for them and get more words and power to what they said. So as the fight continues, December 10th, 1869, Wyoming was the first state to pass and grant women's suffrage. Now, unfortunately, Wyoming did not do this for the right reasons. Wyoming did this to create publicity for the state and to gain more women attraction for their lonely men. Now, even though this was not for the right reasons, it gave women a big win and was one of the biggest steps at the time for women's suffrage. Now, the 19th Amendment was officially passed June 4th, 1919 in Congress. It wasn't until August 18th, 1920 that the 19th Amendment was actually ratified. This gave women the right to vote in all political elections at the time. Now, the 19th Amendment was clearly not the end for women's rights. Today, women are still fighting. The fight for the equal treatment between men and women is still occurring today. There's fight for equal pay between men and women, reproductive rights, also to get Congress to pass the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, to get federally paid maternity leave. Now, as history has shown, women will not give up their right to fight until they succeed their goal. Is there any questions? These are my references.